Sad Clown is the 10th track on Viva Las Vengeance, Panic at the Disco's 7th studio album. Today we're gonna be talking about the song meaning, and of course this is just my hot take, so if you don't agree with anything that I'm saying, or you have a different theory or analysis, I actually would love to hear it, so make sure to comment it below. So essentially, at a high level, I think this song is about having writer's block. I think it's an artist who's doubting himself, doubting those around him. But now let's take a close look at the song lyrics. The song starts with the line vincero, which translates to I will be victorious, starting off by setting the scene of someone who's on a journey to achieve something. It could also serve as a reference to the song Victorious from Death of a Bachelor. In the first verse, we are introduced to the setting of our narrator. He is in a place of confusion about his social life, about his friends. This could also be alluding to the lyrics from Victorious, where he says, all my friends were glorious. But given the nature of the rest of the song, most likely is a nod towards, hey look ma, I made it, which has an entire verse dedicated to the illusion or the confusion of having friends within the industry. The next part of the verse is what starts the visualization of a troubled artist for me. The spacebar is a common shortcut for digital audio workstations, which is what artists use to bring their songs to life. So when he references that he cannot play guitar, I have this visual of someone just, on their computer, recording themselves playing and just in defeat hitting the spacebar and like having to start over. The next segment talks about substance abuse. Obviously the bottles he's referring to are of alcohol. And the buzz he's gonna get from that alcohol is not gonna last more than 5-10 minutes, maybe an hour. And it's not gonna be enough to help him get through the difficult times he's going through. Now, the chorus I think could be interpreted in different ways. So following kind of like the storyline that I'm taking about the troubled artist, the way I see it is that is him battling with creation. This could signify people criticizing his music or like what critics would say about him, but it could also be an internal dialogue. It could be like he's thinking that about himself. He begs to be left alone, and this could be a reference just to people demanding things from him or people having expectations, so like fans or the record label. But it could also be internal, like his own struggle, his own thoughts, because then we have this line, Your Majesty is magnificent, my tragedy is imminent. It could mean that the narrator is comparing himself to the people he admires, and to that end, he will never be up there with them. We will never compare ourselves to other people that we really admire and put ourselves in their same position. The first half of the second verse does two interesting things. The first is a reference to being behind a booth, which again continues this visual of having a troubled artist. What I imagine is that he's recording in a vocal booth. But now something else that's interesting is that we have this introduction of this character, Maggie. I think this album will be a concept album and probably have this big story that I have yet to uncover. So at the time of putting this video together, I have not even heard the entire album, to be honest. But here's what we do know. In all the music videos so far for Viva Las Vengeance, Leah Adler has been credited to play as Maggie. There was a Reddit thread suggesting that the actress was cast because of her name, which is the same name as Steven Spielberg's mother. So it was a little bit like, I don't know, I'm gonna link below to the Reddit article in case you wanna read it, but I'm not really sure that I'm buying that theory. We also know that track 9 is called Something About Maggie, and I did listen to the track trying to find clues to connect to this, but there wasn't much that I could find, at least on a first couple of listens. Something interesting though is that clearly Maggie is in an abusive relationship. Now the reference to Gloria could be one of two things. It could be obviously like having a person there who's called Gloria. It could also be in line with having glory and fame. The second part of the second verse, similarly to the first verse, talks about substance abuse. This time we're talking about popping pills, but again, popping pills is not gonna get him through his whole life. It's not gonna stop the feelings he's feeling. It will just make him happy or feel better for a short period of time. The chorus repeats and we don't have actually a lyrical bridge, but in the last chorus there is a little bit of extra lyric. where the narrator is getting so tired of all the pressure that he's feeling, so much to the point that he starts questioning his purpose and like the meaning of life. Is this all there is? Maybe the song is about a troubled artist who wants to create things that he wants, but he feels external pressure from the label, from fans, or it could just be like internal pressure from himself. I feel like the music video doesn't provide a lot of insights into the actual lyrics of the song, but it is perhaps part of like the bigger storyline of the album. There is an interesting scene near the end where, upon seeing Maggie making out with someone else, Brendan takes off this wig, so it's kind of like ending a facade that he's been putting up. And of course, maybe there's like a big story behind why that's happening. If I take it from the point of view of how I'm analyzing the lyrics, it could be that upon seeing disappointment, like maybe fans will leave you or the record label will drop you in a second, and he's really like working to change himself or like putting on a show for everyone who in the end will just reject you and will just forget you. Someone who, when someone else that's more interesting crosses their path, they will just forget about you. He jumps in the water and kind of like frees himself, but then we realize that he didn't actually jump in the water. It's more of a thought. So it could be all about how he's like trying to free himself or like has a desire to free himself, but he's holding back. Now I am curious to hear the rest of the album and piece the rest of the story together. I want to figure out who Maggie is. That's kind of my next mission for this. And of course, on the topic of the substance abuse of the artist and like the whole record label issue or the whole friend issue, all of those things are themes that we have seen already in Hey Look Ma, I Made It in the music video. Even though the lyrics of Hey Look Ma, I Made It don't specifically talk about substance abuse, we really see it in the video. So a lot of these themes I feel like are just coming back and they're just being presented in a different way. Of course, something else from the video is that Brandon is introduced as the Duke and Maggie as the Queen. I wanted to figure out like a reasoning for what the case for that was. I didn't know if it was like related to it being like a facade, like she's the queen, so he needs to put on an act for her, which is why we see him take off that wig at the end and just being so disappointed. Or maybe those words like the Duke and the Queen mean something else, but I couldn't really piece that together either. But all in all, my conclusion still stands that it's about a troubled artist who's like trying to make music, who is either facing internal demons towards his creations and or external demons, so fan base, record label, or just expectations from other people, even just dealing with friendships and like people betraying you or people only being there for you if they get a benefit out of it. And of course it could be a mix of both. He talks about not being able to play guitar, so that's also like self-criticism being shown right there, but he also talks about the friendships. So anyway, that is my take on the song. I would love to hear if you have a different story for it, or if you've analyzed the words differently, or if I've missed anything you think I should have mentioned, maybe some specific lyric I didn't look at deep or close enough at. But let me know what you guys think, and I hope to see you all in my next video.